Kate.
The time is 1939. The place is a room. And the location is Hollywood, California.
Rock-a-bye your baby with a Dixie melody. When you croon, croon a tune from the heart of Dixie. Hang that cradle, mammy mine, right on that Mason-Dixon line, and swing it from Virginia to Tennessee with all the soul that's in ya. Weep no more, my lady, mammy, sing it again for me. And old Black Joe.
I can't stand it anymore. I tell you, that song just gets me so riled up singing about old Black Joe. Well, guess what? I'm black and my name is Jim, which is almost the same as Joe. So whenever I hear that song, I think they're singing about me. Now, I know it's only a song and supposedly nobody means any harm about it. But still, as a black man, I don't like it. Singing about us like we have nothing better to do than listen to some joker singing about, of all places, Dixie. You know, that lovely place where blacks have to pay a poll tax to vote and have to eat in segregated restaurants, use segregated bathrooms, attend segregated schools where they treat us like we are some kind of disease?
What you fussing about now, Jim?
Oh, maybe it ain't nothing.
Well, it gotta be something because I could hear you running your mouth a mile away.
It's that damn song again. It gets on my nerves.
What are you complaining about? Ain't I mentioning that song too? At least somebody's singing about us.
Hush your mouth for me. Don't trifle with me.
You always fussing.
Yeah, so what?
So nothing.
Or stop your gabbing. You're just trying to make trouble. Who do you think you are anyway?
Somebody who doesn't go around running my mouth like a damn fool.
Who would listen to you anyway? You got nothing useful to say.
Well, ain't you the Mr. Big Shot sounding so high and mighty? You haven't done a good day's work in I don't know how long.
So what? You're nothing but a maid, a servant. You have no right to criticize.
I do my work and I get paid for it, which is more than I can say for you.
Hush up now, woman. They took my name, made a mockery of it, put it in a song, make it sound like I'm a stupid, simple fool, and now I got to deal with your nonsense?
Nonsense nothing. I gotta put up with the same guff as you, but you don't hear me complaining, and besides, what good would it do?
Every time you talk that way, it practically make me want to scream. Like that in that overblown movie about the old South. Your civility actually makes me sick.
Listen, boy. They pay me good money to play that role, so shut your face.
Yeah, they pay you good, but you still play a loudmouth fool, and that ain't worth no amount of money.
If you keep running your face like that, I'm gonna dump this laundry over your head.
You all talk.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I need the money. I would rather have money in the bank than have nothing on the plate.
You wouldn't go starving, no way.
Why you say that?
'Cause there's other jobs.
Jim, you sound dumber than a mule that just got kicked in the head.
No, I don't. When you play those roles, you have no idea how you hurting your own people.
My people? What you talking about now?
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Jim, if you keep on vexing me this way, I'm gonna let you have it but good.
What's the matter? Can't handle the truth?
I can handle anything you throw at me, but not when you're not making no sense.
Now it's you who being dumb.
Oh, it's me being dumb now. No. I'm just annoyed at you.
Well, you wouldn't be so annoyed if you thought I wasn't telling the truth.
Look here, mister. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm making good money, okay? And without that money, I'll be out on the street.
No, Mabel. You upset because deep down, you know that you're selling out your people for a few bucks.
Here we go again with that people talk.
That's right, Mabel. They're your people, whether you like it or not. You're a public figure, a symbol. And when the public see you on screen, they think that all black women are meant to be maids and all black men porters.
Jim, you're so wrong. First, I don't represent nobody. And second, who the hell are you to lecture me on how I should make a living?
Who am I, you ask? I'm I'm the guy who refused to sell out. Yeah, I could have made a bundle playing a shuffling, mumbling Negro like some of the other brothers do, but I told him, screw you and your money. I have my dignity.
And what did that get you?
At least I know I ain't laughed at.
Yeah, you got that right. Nobody's laughing and nobody's paying you either.
That's right, Mabel. Nobody's paying.
Oh, so it's a question of pride.
I'm saying no such thing. Don't put words in my mouth.
Then what exactly are you saying?
What I'm saying is this. At some point, we have to make a stand, make our voices heard, demand respect, and be treated as equals.
Have you been drinking again?
No, I haven't. And what I'm saying has nothing to do with whether I'm drunk. It has to do with being part of a system that perpetuates ugly racist stereotypes that keep us down.
Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I know how those movies make me look?
Yeah, Mabel, I know you know. And that's what irks me because you know better, yet you still take the money.
You think we really despise, don't you?
Maybe that's a little too strong a word, but we're not like, that's for sure.
You got a point.
I know I got a point.
Why should I be playing a maid? For once, let me show them white girl pushing a mop while I'm decked out gallivanting around.
That sure would be a grand sight.
I earned it. I would be partying, laughing, and whooping it up, really enjoying myself.
I know you would, Mabel. In fact, your words now got me feeling all fired up.
That's right, Jim. Let's show them who's boss.
Old Black Joe making me sound like a fool. Well, I'm no fool. I'm a man, and I want what's mine.
That's right, Jim. You are the man. You could go be the black Clark Gable.
Clark Gable? If I was white, I'd be getting all the lead roles.
You think so?
I know so.
I wonder what the white girls would say about you playing a Southern gentleman.
Who cares what they say? All I know is I wouldn't be taking gruff from them, that's for sure.
Hey, I know them better than you do, and believe me, none of them are anything to write home about.
Yeah, but some of them are pretty.
And whites and snobs too. Oh, and I would have liked to have said to some of those girls.
I bet you would have a lot to say.
You bet I would. Listen, Jim. What I can't understand is why a good-looking guy like the character Clark Gable plays, a guy who could have any woman he wants, anywhere in the world, would want to waste his time going after a spoiled, self-centered brat who tells him right to his face that she don't like him. And means it. What kind of story is that?
Don't start tearing down Gable too. He got enough problems in that movie.
I've had it up to here with those stuck-up floozies. They're nothing but highfalutin, prissy-faced teasers who get guys so bamboozled that soon they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, you're right. But the people buy it, especially white people. By the way, why are you on Gable case anyway? He did something bad to you?
He wouldn't have the nerve to try. And besides, what I'm saying ain't personal. I'm just trying to make a point.
Which is?
That I'm really sick and tired of playing a maid. And now I'm all messed up in my head because of you.
Because of me?
Yes, because of you. Before this conversation started, I was feeling fine. Didn't have a care in the world. Now I'm all upset, sounding like a blithering fool.
Good.
Good? You mean it's okay for me to be upset and sound like a blithering fool?
Of course not. What you're now feeling is something called social consciousness. The first time you feel it, it hits you real hard, like something that grabbed you by the gut and won't let go. We all go through it.
So this is normal?
As normal as breathing, you get it over it real soon, and after you do, you'll be a stronger and wiser person for it.
That's kind of scary.
That's okay. Go with the feeling. Remember, you're not alone.
Oh, those nasty thieves. I ought to go out to the front office right now and give them a piece of my mind.
That's right, Mabel. You do that.
In the past 2 years, I've made 27 movies playing maids, mammies, and washerwomen. Well, that's finished. Do you know I went to college? Majored in accounting.
You don't say.
I do say. I know I could at least play the secretary, but you think they would ever cast me as an office worker? No. No. So how about you and me going to the front office and have a talk with that boss?
You mean the two of us?
Yeah, the two of us.
That wouldn't be a good idea.
Why not?
Because they'll laugh us right off the lot.
What's the matter? You're afraid? I thought you were a union man or something.
So don't say that too loud. Somebody hear you.
Why are you being so secretive?
Because if they even think that you're a union, they'll fire you. So we have to be careful.
Now you're telling me this after you got me all riled up.
I wasn't trying to get you riled up. I was just trying to help you better appreciate your situation.
I don't recall ever asking you for help.
Then why are we talking?
Because you were running off at the mouth and I came by to check on you. Don't you remember?
That didn't mean you had to talk to me.
What was I supposed to do? Just stand there and watch you flapping your lips?
I was just blowing off some steam. It gets so frustrating knowing I'm being kept down.
I understand how you feel, Jim. I'm in the same boat as you. You know, just like we were in that musical about the white actors on the riverboat steamer.
That captain was okay. It was his wife that was the problem. A real dried up prune. And she too. Just like they all are. I remember I was rehearsing the main song for the movie. The director was there listening to me, and after I finished, he struck up this conversation with me, telling me how much he liked what he heard and asking me how I liked being cast in the movie and telling me how glad he was that I was a part of the cast. So since he was being so friendly, I figured I'd ask him for a pay raise, so I asked. Immediately he started humming and moaning and groaning about expenses and overheads, and like he was trying to brush me off. Until finally I couldn't take it and I blew up at him.
You gotta be more careful.
I couldn't help myself. He patronizing me, talking down to me.
That's too bad. But at least you were a featured player in the major movie, which is a lot more that can be said for most black actors.
Yeah, I was a featured player, but I wasn't the star. And it's the star that makes the big money. And in this world, without money, you're nothing. Which is especially true for a black man.
Well, if you were a star, then maybe nobody would want to see your movies, and then where would you be?
You're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing your point. Do you honestly think that white people will pay to see movies starring a black man?
Yes, I do. But right now, I'm just a hired hand, meaning that I have to scrounge for an extra nickel and dime, like they doing me some kind of favor. That's how they keep us down. But boy, would people be singing a different tune if I had big bucks, then I'd be calling the shots. Wherever I go, it'd be the red carpet treatment and first-class service. And why? Because money talks, as the saying goes, it trumps everything, even race. Even the most nasty, vicious, stupid, goose-stepping bigot would think twice before closing the door in my face, and that's a fact.
Well, if you think you can make money, then why don't you start your own production company? Then you be your own boss.
It takes money to make money. You got money to invest?
Don't mock me, boy. You know I don't. But if I had the money, I'd give it to you. You know I would.
That's easy talk. We both know you can't deliver.
What do you want me to say?
The truth.
And I'm telling you the truth. And truthfully, I don't have the money to help.
So much for the truth. If I had money, I would hire the finest black actors and make the grandest movies, musicals, comedies, dramas, everything. I'd drive them white companies right out of business. Because when we black people are given a chance to compete fair and square, then we always come out on top. Look at Joe Louis and Jesse Owens.
Those boys are great. But how many white people you think will go pay to see your show?
Plenty would, because quality entertainment always sells. That's a fact. It's just a question of financing, and that's where we're behind the eight ball, because they have the money and we don't, and that's what gives them the power to call the shots. And being black just makes everything worse.
That's for sure. I wanted to try out for the role of the Wicked Witch in that Wizard movie, but when I showed up at the audition, the director looked at me, started laughing, and then started talking to me just like I was a child. It was so humiliating.
You can do better than being in junk like that. What a silly story. Just show what kind of fluff passes for entertainment.
Maybe it was fluff, but that movie made a ton of money.
It did?
I read that in the newspaper.
Well, good for them. It's just amazing how these movie big shots manage to make so much money peddling what they try to pass off as quality entertainment. But they pay a price too, because the more money they make, the more decadent they become. Which is what happened when you have too much money to spend and you're not working for it. I see them coming and going every day, openly flaunting their wealth with their fancy cars, expensive suits and slutty women, acting like they such big shots. Sooner or later, they'll all get into trouble, which is okay by me because to them we don't even exist. Well, it's about time a black man changed all of that.
And maybe a black woman too. For instance, in that movie about the Old South, I play a free slave who's still loyal to my old master. I think if I were in charge, I'd definitely make a few changes to that storyline. I mean, why the hell would I want to be loyal to my old master? What did he ever do for me?
Beats me.
That's right. That's exactly what he did. Beat me. Beat us. But that's how they wrote the story because that's what the public, the white public, wanted. I wonder what people would have thought if they saw me, a black mammy, coming up with money to buy the plantation. I bet black folk all over the world would have liked to see that.
I know I would have. Where would you get the money?
Maybe I'll find it on a rock while walking through the woods.
Who believed that?
Who cares? It's a movie, remember?
That's true. In movie land, anything is possible.
It's no stranger than some of the other fluff that Hollywood tries to pass off as quality entertainment. And besides, doesn't a mammy deserve a little bit of luck?
Now that you mention it, she sure does. And so do the rest of us too.
And after I bought the farm, I become a lady of leisure.
While still playing a maid.
Of course not, you fool. I'll be a lady of property. But of course that would never happen in the movies because people are used to seeing black women playing maids and other low roles. I wonder how people would feel seeing movies with pretty white gals doing laundry all day, washing the dishes and mopping the floor. I think that would be a welcomed novelty.
You won't get any argument from me on that point. And that's just what I've been saying. We're given the demeaning roles, and for one reason only, because we're black.
Jim, that is the truth. And now I'm so mad I could take this laundry and dump it in the street. But I know if I do that, it'll just make a mess, and besides, what good would it do?
I know, Mabel. That's just what makes it all so frustrating. We want to better ourselves, but we can't afford it.
That's true, too.
That's why to make real change, you gotta have organization and money.
Talk is fine, but if you can't back it up, then what good is it? You speak up, and what do you get? Grief.
Maybe that's the price we gotta pay to make some real changes, bring fairness to the workplace, and earn a little respect.
But that's a big price to pay, especially if you're on your own. No sense in fighting if you can't win.
What makes you think we can't win?
Even the white actors and workers get abused, and if they're treated like dirt, then what can we do?
We can do a whole lot if we go about it carefully.
What do you have in mind?
I've been thinking about sending out a flyer to all the other black actors calling for a meeting to discuss what we've been talking about.
I thought you didn't want anyone to think that you're a union man. Now you want to contact the other black actors?
I know exactly what I said, but this has nothing to do with organizing. I just want to bring some of us together for mutual support. Going at it alone would be a waste of time. But if we hang in together, then maybe we can get our point across.
Yeah, we have the right to assemble and even speak out. But that don't mean they'll listen.
Well, they better listen or else.
Or else what, Jim? What you going to do? Give them a nasty stare? Give them the finger? Even white workers are getting bashed on. Look what happened at the Ford Motor Plant in Detroit. The workers not only got fired, they got run out the factory by the police. Or about those two Jew fellas who tossed off the track team in Germany at the Berlin Olympics.
And what about those fellas?
I read that the coach dropped them because they didn't want to offend Hitler, so he replaced them with two blacks. Can you believe that?
Sure, I can believe that. I've never heard of fast-running Jews. And besides, blacks are the best runners in the world. At least somewhere blacks are appreciated.
And in Nazi Germany, of all places. Anyway, white people are getting pushed around too.
But they're also in charge, and even if they're down, they can still work their way up without doors being closed in their face, while we're denied the same opportunity. Except when we're running track and field, when it's okay for us to jump high and run fast without getting into trouble.
Yes. A strong pair of legs and a good set of track shoes can certainly come in handy, especially if you're being chased by the police. But if you stay out of trouble, then nobody cares.
The problem is being able to stay out of trouble. The police have it in for us, just waiting to run us in on the slightest pretense. That's why the jails are always packed with blacks. I mean, all of us can't be criminals.
We're not all criminals. But like you said, we gotta be careful because they have the power.
Yeah, that's right. But sometimes a black man gotta do what he gotta do. Just like when our parents were slaves. If it wasn't for guys like Frederick Douglass or Nat Turner, we'd still be slaves today.
We are slaves, wage slaves. The workplace is our plantation. The production assistants are overseers. Because without money, we are nothing. In fact, less than nothing, lower than the low. And the bosses know it too because a lot of them were once workers too.
They actually were. Are you for real?
Yeah, I'm for real. A lot of them came in this country plum broke, but made it big. How about the Jewish guy who has the big movie studio on the other side of town? I heard he came to this country from Russia with nothing, and now look at him. He owns half of Hollywood.
That don't mean nothing. He's white. So he came to this country with a big advantage over us. Our people came here in slaves, changed, and was never allowed to forget it. What bugs me is that you have all kind of people coming to this country, making big bucks while we blacks, who were here from the start, are kept down, made to grovel and scrounge and are treated like we count for nothing. Nothing.
That's not entirely so, Jim. Look at all the progress we've made since we've been freed.
What progress? We work, pay taxes, do all kind of stuff, but for what? We're still not treated as equal, and that's a fact. And if we were, they wouldn't be making fun of us like they do in the movies.
We're not the only ones who get poked fun at. What about those white comics, like Laurel and Hardy, for instance? You don't hear white people complaining about them.
That's different. It's one thing for white people to laugh at themselves because they're taking it as a joke. When they start in with us, there's an edge to their so-called humor that's meant to put us down, keep us in our place and make us feel like we count for nothing. Like, for instance, this morning I heard on the radio this white comedian telling all kind of nasty jokes, and a lot of these jokes was about black men, making it sound like we're nothing but a bunch of stupid thugs, drunks, and the like. You know, like if we was nothing but a bunch of idiots. I could hear the audience laughing. Yeah, they sure loved it, but I wasn't laughing, not one bit. Once again, the black man is being reduced to the level of a joke, a thing not to be taken seriously. It's pure racism masquerading as humor, and all it does is set people against us.
I've never seen it that way before. But now that I come to think of it, a couple of days ago I was talking to this white guy and he started cracking all these jokes about Polish people and the Irish. At the time I thought they were hilarious and we were both laughing up a storm, but after listening to you, I can see how those jokes can be really mean and cruel and meant to keep people down. Well, as far as I'm concerned, and we count for something, which is why we got to keep on going and not give up.
That's all I ever hear nowadays. Just hang in there. Just keep the course. Keep on the safe track. We'll get to the promised land soon as well. Damn it, I'm tired of that. I can't take it any longer. I want my share of the pie.
Don't you think I'm hungry for my slice too? We all feel this way.
I don't know how we all feel, but this is how I feel. And if every black in America felt the same way, then nothing could stop us. We'll get what's ours. We built this country from nothing. From nothing. And now it's time for payback. Time to cash in and live the good life.
Well, before you start sending out your letters, think about what's happening to the Jews in Germany.
What about them?
They're being treated worse than we are. They're white.
That's just further proof of why we got to do something fast to protect ourselves. Because if they treat white people the same way, there's no telling what they'd do to us if they had the chance. Look at what Germany and Russia did to Poland. They obliterated an entire country, and the Poles are white. And what about what happened to those Italians who was lynched in New Orleans in 1891, and the Jews who were pelted with garbage in New York in 1901 during a funeral procession, no less. After that incident, the Jews said nobody would ever treat them like that, not even in Russia, where they're hated.
If white people can be bullied around and they run the show, then what chance do we have against the system here?
Right now, none. We're not united. You have some brothers who say no problem, everything is just fine. Then others who say we have problems, but let's not rock the boat. I don't know what planet they're operating from. And when Those who are angry want to change things but don't know what to do. They're the ones that get into trouble.
I wish I could have told that prissy lady in that Old South movie what I really thought about her.
Someday you may have the chance, especially if someone make a sequel, but unfortunately for now, we have to bid our time.
Then who's going to help us out?
Right now, nobody. That's why I want to bring together other blacks.
But what good would they do? They're just as bad off as we are.
Then I'll contact some white actors too. Maybe some of them will be willing to help us.
That just seems half-baked to me. I mean, if racism in the United States is a problem, then aren't we the ones who have to deal with it?
Of course, but they'll be our backup. Don't you get it? We can't go at this alone.
You're dreaming. There is no way that any white people are going to stick their necks out to help us. That's a little bit of a stretch.
That's not true. There are white people out there who will be willing to help us out.
You mean like the white players who do blackface and make us look like and sound like jerks?
Don't get me wrong. That burns me up too.
Or seeing those stupid reminiscing about the old South, you know, when we were slaves.
Like Rockabye Your Baby. Now you know I can't stand that song.
But for white people, those were the good old days.
Not for us though. We did the picking while they made the money.
To tell you the truth, this whole subject's starting to give me a real bad headache.
Like I said before, that's the price you have to pay for using your mind. It's like exercising a muscle that you never used before. At first you're sore, but gradually the pain disappears as you use it more and make it stronger. It's the same way with the mind.
I never knew you were so smart.
I'm just a simple country boy who wants what's mine.
You're so modest. No wonder why that young white gal in the Riverboat movie took a shine into you.
We was just friends, nothing more.
I remember when I was growing up, I had a lot of friends, black and white. And we'd be playing all the time, but then one day something happened to one of them white gals. The next thing, all white folks are storming down the street, beating up every black they could find. It was terrible.
That's why we have to be careful dealing with white people. They can turn on you anytime.
But that don't stop you from dealing with them, though.
No, it don't, because we have no choice in the matter. They're around whether we like it or not, so we have to deal with them. But like I said, you gotta be careful with them because they can't stand us.
As a black woman, I know what you're saying, but I've met some white people who are really nice.
Of course some white people are nice, but even the nice ones look down on us.
I'm with you there, my boy. What about those Jim Crow laws? You go down south and what do you say? This is for colored folk. That's for white folk only. Color not allowed here. Color not allowed there. It's as if the South won the Civil War.
That's why we got to do something about this situation, because it just ain't fair. I served in a Warsaw action in Europe, got shot at and got a medal for it. But you think that that count for anything? No. When I got back to the States, I was told, you can't live here, you can't work here. Until finally I decided to go to Hollywood because I heard that they was hiring black actors. But once I got there, I soon found out that I was in competition with white actors lining up for black roles. I know doing blackface. At that point, I became desperate. Finally, some white talent agents who served in the war too took pity on me and helped me land that role in that Riverboat movie. If it wasn't for him, I'd be in bad shape.
You think that's bad? I'm a black woman in a white gal's world. So I had it really tough. I couldn't find work. I must have answered 100 ads. Luckily, I met some white people who knew this casting director who was looking for a black woman to play Maze. So that's how I wound up here in Hollywood.
What burns me up is this, that if we didn't ask to come to this country, we were brought here like cattle. But we're not animals. It's amazing that we even survived.
But we have to survive, no matter how crappy things are, and we gotta have hope, because without hope, there's no point to living. If we start getting down on ourselves, then they'll win, because that's exactly how they want us to feel.
It's just so frustrating. I did some reading about some famous black folk, you know, like Jack Johnson, Dred Scott, and the likes. And what they had to put up with was just awful. Talented, gifted people with so much to offer, yet they were subjected to indignities after indignities. Did you know that the first American to die in the Revolutionary War was a black man?
I didn't know that.
None of this is taught in school. It's like we're being denied access to our own history.
It says in the Bible that Jewish people were slaves too, just like us.
But I don't think they was working on plantation. And remember, their leader, Moses, was a prince of Egypt. We didn't have any Moses. The closest we came to having a Moses was Abraham Lincoln, and look at what happened to him.
What happened to Lincoln was terrible.
Lincoln deserved a lot of credit for issuing that Emancipation Proclamation. But we fought for our freedom. Did you know that 150,000 blacks fought in the Civil War, and that if it wasn't for them, the North may not have won, and we'd still be slaves? None of this is common knowledge.
Where do you learn all of this?
Just like you went to school. I went to school too. Meanwhile, here we are, two educated people who happen to be black. You playing service, me playing deckhands. It's ridiculous. It's insulting. Make you wonder why the Civil War was fought at all.
One day there's going to be a whole lot of black movie stars. They can't keep us down forever.
That's future talk. I'm more concerned about here and now.
I am too. But boys like Joe Louis are proof that good times are coming. Maybe not fast, but they are coming. And when they do come, we'll be sitting on top of the world, as the song says.
I know that guy who sang that song. His name is Joseph. He's a white man, but sing with real soul. He's the only white man I know who does justice to blackface. Did you see him in the jazz singer? My, oh my, you would think he's actually black. That's how good he is. And when he sings My Mammy, he does it with respect.
You must really like that fella Joseph to say something like that.
The problem is that he's the exception, not the rule. Like, for instance, in that Riverboat movie. You know that black guy who played the janitor? In real life, he's an attorney who specializes in international law. But in Hollywood, he rates playing a janitor. And why? Because he's black.
At least he got the role. Maybe he wasn't doing too well as a lawyer.
Come to think about it, never heard of a black man being a lawyer. Why is that?
Because most lawyers are Jewish. When I got into a little spat with my landlord a few years ago, I got myself a good Jewish lawyer to defend me. He did a great job too. He was so nice to me. He even wanted to take me out to dinner, but I told him no.
Why did you tell him no?
I was seeing a gentleman at the time.
That's no reason not to go out with a guy. It's not like you were married.
Well, me and this gentleman were rather close, and if he had caught me with another man, there would have been hell to pay.
Did he ever hit you?
No. Actually, he was quite nice, but I didn't want to take any chances.
You did the right thing. I remember when I was married, I came home from work and found my wife with another man. Boy, were they surprised. That guy ran out there faster than a jackrabbit, and my wife was crying, carrying on like there was no tomorrow. Oh, she was so apologetic, even begged me for forgiveness. But she was putting on an act. So I told her to get out and pedal her butt on the street. I'd rather live alone than share a bed with a two-timing slut.
You men can be so mean.
I'm not being mean. She was cheating on me.
So what? Maybe you weren't paying enough attention to her.
Yeah, right. All you women think the same.
Hey, watch it with all you women stuff. You really believe they were all the same?
Yes, I believe it.
Wait a minute, Jim. Do you realize what you've just done?
Now what are you talking about?
We just put each other down. The same way that blacks are put down, this is how the problem starts. Don't you see it?
No, I don't see that.
Jim, don't you get it? I said to you, all men can be so mean, and you said, all you women think the same. That's stereotyping, and it's this kind of talk that drives people apart. Just like what's happened between blacks and whites in this country.
What are you getting at?
That the demand for equal treatment is not a one-sided thing. In order to get it, we got to be prepared to give. What I'm really trying to say is that no matter how badly they may treat us, we have to rise above that and not hate.
Hey, look, I don't hate anybody. All I want to be is treated with dignity and respect. But to achieve that in this company will require a struggle. I can't change my name. I can change my name, but can't change the color of my skin.
It all comes down to a question of changing attitudes, both theirs and ours.
True, but no matter what, we still got to speak up, speak out, and make ourselves heard. Otherwise, we'll be overtaken, pushed aside, and deemed expendable.
I wouldn't want that to happen.
Well, it can happen. I remember when I was in New York, I took a ferry boat to the Statue of Liberty. And on the statue was a poem about how America welcomes all who are yearning to be free. Well, we're yearning to be free. We want to live the American dream, not just dream it. One day someone will show up with a message of hope for all us black folk. And when that day comes, it'll be like another Emancipation Proclamation. But this time, it won't be coming from a white man, but from a black man, and people will listen.
I sure would love to live to see that day.
Maybe you will, Mabel. Maybe you will.
End of Act 1.